Hey guys, Jengar here. We are still on the dev server. Takes a while, right, when you have to work to create these dev server videos once you record the footage. We are trying to see how this thing can climb. We put it at 20% again. We'll see where we end up on the speed there. But the YP-38 Lightning, fantastic. This is the prototype, where the XP-38 was actually the experimental version of the plane. Those were the designations that were used. And the IPs, a few more were built. I believe it was 13 in total. And they really did replace the XP. A lot of things were changed. A lot of things were made smoother. A little bit of changes in the fuselage for extra room for the engines. You've got the propellers that were made to turn outwards instead of inwards to improve the stability of the plane when it came to a platform for the guns. And I actually found out in my little bit of research that the XP-38 actually supposedly had a 23mm as the main gun. And well, they replaced it with the guns on this plane, which has a 37mm and two 50 cals and two 30 cals, which is also fine in the armament department. But the gun setup was something they worked on for more than half a year after, even after this version, the YP-38. They ended up with a 20mm Hispano and then 450 cals in the nose. One of the only American planes with nose-mounted guns, making it one of the more accurate planes for shooting. This plane could actually accurately hit things at a distance of 1000 yards, which is about 910 meters, which is an insane distance for compared to the other planes that the US had, which really had their configurations set up at a specific distance, often according to the preferences of the pilot. You know, those ground crews worked hard. They absolutely did. Well, and again, enough ammo. This was also a fantastic plane. Actually, the only American plane that could really shine at the higher altitudes in the beginning of the war. And it was one of the more mass-produced planes in the American arsenal. Also, one of the only planes that were produced from the beginning of the war until the very end of the war. And of course, why wouldn't they? The Lightnings, I mean, only for their beauty should they be produced the whole war. You cannot stop producing this thing and keep producing brutes like the Jug. Nothing against the Jug. I keep my hands up. I love the Jug. Jug is life. Jug is love. Jug is life. But the Lightnings are a special love of mine, and I think it's the most beautiful plane in the American line for once, and maybe in the entire game. Who knows? Lovely, lovely planes. Pilots love to fly them. Very forgiving planes. You could make a mistake or two in this thing. You could throw it around. The plane could take it, and the plane would take you home. And well, it was loved by the pilots, and not without a reason. If you fly it in game, I always hear on the videos that I made on these Lightnings that people had a lot of questions on how to use this plane and why doesn't it function, and what should I do to make this plane work. And well, especially the early Lightnings need a little bit of patience because their maneuverability doesn't really make them good dog fighters. And you really got to use them as boom and zoomers and energy fighters. But the later ones can climb like the best. They can turn better, they can roll better, they are better at everything. There's still a big target, there's always that. It's a big plane, but gotta love me some Lightnings. I'm glad I have the XP-38, by the way. If you don't have that, then you will see this thing replaced by the IP. It's fun to have them both, I would assume, for the people who love a little bit of history in there. Is very nice to have, and I like it that this plane comes in game. For the people who are new to the game, come after the introduction of this one, maybe they can win it as a prize one day again. Gaijin will introduce it as an event plane, the YP-38, and we'll still be able to get it here and there because that plane is still very good as well and very enjoyable to fly. Although now that I know that it should have had actually a 23mm cannon instead of that setup it has right now. But oh well, small details I guess. In the meantime, you saw me climbing went very well, rolling is very decent, and seems to be better indeed than the YP-38. The acceleration and stuff like that is all pretty good, and it pulls very nicely on the elevator as well, meaning seems it can turn better than the YP-38 as well. Now this is all still susceptible to testing and to changes, of course, because this was just a few practice rounds against AI planes in on the dev server in matches, but you get a feel for her, and I did find her to be quite nice on the elevator control. It felt very neat. Now the 15 rounds on the 37mm cannon are not a lot. You have to be more sparingly than I was on that first shot. I think I wasted 5 or 6 shots on that first plane, but I was still getting used to this plane. The small burst seemed to be the thing, and you can also go for the separate firing, but I am a very big advocate of firing all the guns at once. No need to spare your ammo. With the there's plenty of ammo to go around, and you can finish things off with the 2 30 cals as well in the end. So the small calibers are effective. The gunpowder is fantastic. 200 rounds on the 50 cals is decent. It's not the 350 you have on the Thunderbolts, of course, the Razorbacks. I mean, there's always boss above boss, right? But hey, it's a decent ammo load, 200 rounds. Although the 225 or 50 would have been a little nicer. It is what it is. You do have a lot of 30 cal rounds though, so there is that. But I always prefer to fire all guns at once. Why? Because it puts more lead in the air. You will finish planes off quicker, and in the end, for me, it adds to the lethality of your shots. Unless you are flying 8 hours a day, and you are so practiced that you will hit everything with one type of ammo. Otherwise, I think it's always preferable to shoot all the guns and get your kills, especially in the beginning of a match. It's just preferable to eliminate things, get rid of things. Don't start popping away, keep popping away at an opponent with your 30 cals and just hoping he will disappear, because it might get you killed. It might get you killed, but I am definitely looking forward to this plane. Durability also seems to be in order. You can take a few hits. You have 2 engines as well, which can be very nice. If you have a damaged one, the working engine can still get you home. Overheating is present though, as you see we were in the amber there with a little bit of webbing, so you have to be managing that. Roll rate is never the most fantastic part of the early lightnings, but it will become better on the later ones, if you're asking. But on this one, it is not so good yet, but it's not bad, and there's specific speeds. I don't know them yet because I gotta figure them out exactly for you in the real review. But I noticed there at some times that it was really rolling well, and I did take a sneak peek, but I'm not sure between which speed ranges it actually is. Performance seems to be in order with the 2 engines. Climb rate seems to be quite good, maybe even better than the XP. Well, firepower is awesome, ammo loads are decent, and we'll see about those top speeds in a dive. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.